This is the story of Elias Thorne, a man who didn't want your money, your love, or your life. He wanted something far more permanent. He wanted to own the way you perceived reality. In the world of dark psychology, we call this the eraser method. It isn't about violence, it's about the slow, methodical removal of a victim's internal compass. Elias Thorne was a chameleon. He didn't have a personality of his own. He stole them. When he met Sarah, a brilliant but overworked architect, he didn't try to impress her with his own achievements. Instead, he utilized the mirroring technique. He observed the way she tilted her head when she was stressed, the specific vocabulary she used for her frustrations, and her deepest unfulfilled values. Within 2 weeks, Sarah felt she had met her soulmate. "It's like he thinks exactly like I do," she told her friends. This was no accident. By reflecting her own image back at her, Elias had bypassed her natural defenses. He had created a false sense of familiarity, a psychological hack that tricks the brain into releasing oxytocin, the trust hormone. Once the trust was established, Elias initiated stage 2, the love bomb. He flooded Sarah's life with intense affection, grand gestures, and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week attention. He made her the center of a universe he had built. Why? Because a human mind that is constantly rewarded with dopamine becomes addicted. He was building a pedestal so high that the eventual fall would be lethal to her self-esteem. During this phase, he planted the first seed of the dark psychology known as isolation through purity. He didn't tell her she couldn't see her friends. Instead, he would say, "Your friends are great, Sarah, but I notice how exhausted you are after you see them. They take so much of your energy. You deserve to be around people who give back to you as much as I do." He framed isolation as self-care. Then, one Tuesday, the light went out. Elias became cold. He didn't yell. He simply became silent. When Sarah asked what was wrong, he used the most potent weapon in a dark psychologist's arsenal, gaslighting. "Nothing is wrong, Sarah. You're just being hypersensitive again. This is exactly what your mother used to do, isn't it?" By mentioning her mother, he used vulnerability weaponization. He took a trauma she had shared with him during the love bomb phase and used it to invalidate her current feelings. Sarah began to doubt her own senses. She started apologizing for things she hadn't done. She began to walk on eggshells, a state of chronic hypervigilance that fries the nervous system. Elias knew that if he was cruel 100% of the time, Sarah would eventually leave. To keep her trapped, he used intermittent reinforcement. This is the same psychology that keeps people playing slot machines. If you win every time, it becomes boring. If you never win, you stop. But if you win unpredictably, you become obsessed. Just as Sarah was reaching her breaking point, Elias would suddenly become the soulmate again for 24 hours. He would bring flowers, cry, and tell her he was just struggling with his own demons. Sarah's brain would get a massive hit of dopamine, far more powerful than the initial love bomb, because it was preceded by pain. She wasn't in love with Elias anymore. She was trauma-bonded. By year 2, Sarah didn't know who she was. Elias had used the Ben Franklin effect in reverse, continually asking her for small favors that compromised her values until her brain rewired itself to justify her submission. One evening, Elias sat her down. He didn't look angry. He looked disappointed. "I think you're losing your mind, Sarah. I've been talking to your doctor. We think you need a break from work. I'll handle the finances." He had reached the goal, total dependency. He had erased her social circle, her professional identity, and her trust in her own memory. He was now the sole source of truth in her life. Elias Thorne didn't use a knife. He used the dark triad of personality traits, Machiavellianism, narcissism, and psychopathy. The story of Elias and Sarah is a warning about the shadow side of empathy. Sarah was targeted because she was empathetic. Elias succeeded because he had cognitive empathy. He understood emotions intellectually, but zero effective empathy. He didn't feel the pain he caused. The pace. Is the relationship moving at warp speed? The pedestal. Are they treating you like a god one day and a ghost the next? The doubt. Do you find yourself checking your facts against their version of events constantly?